I'm bored, and for the first time ever, let's react to Pop Culture Crisis. Okay, a little context of this video. Today they're going to be talking about Victoria's Secret's fashion show and the inclusion of trans models as well as people of different shapes and sizes. So that being said, let's get into this.
The Victoria's Secret fashion show just came back from a long hiatus. They went on hiatus back in 2019 and finally decided to bring it back. And people were really hoping that this would be a return to form for the brand. They'd finally bring sexy back. And that is unfortunately not what happened. They missed.
I mean, the entire brand is built on sex appeal. People have been buying, like Victoria's Secret has been making stuff since their last fashion show. It's not like they just stopped making things. Like fashion show over, no Victoria's Secret stuff. That's not the way it works. They've been making garments since the last fashion show. So bringing sexy back, like, I mean, visually, okay, maybe, but they've been making garments since 2018, since the last fashion show, which I believe was either 2018 or 2019.
Dudes. The mark again.
Dudes.
Well, dudes and women. I think that this was
hold on.
Dudes. The mark again.
Dude.
Brand.
Okay, so the guy saying this, a little bit of my gaydar is kicking in here. The guy that's saying dudes is giving off like Rent Daddy vibes. Like he works in adult entertainment. Like that's the vibe it's giving. Like you pay for his VODs. His OF. That's what it's giving. But let's hear what he has to say here.
And they'd finally bring sexy back. And that is unfortunately not what happened. They missed the mark again.
Dudes.
Well, dudes and women. I think that this was the Victoria's Secret fashion show at its prime appealed to both men and women because it was fun. It was pink. It was glittery. All of the models were just seen smiling and giggling and they had bouncy hair and everything was just so girly, but it was also okay for women to be hot at the time in the 2000s. That is
so weird. Okay for women to be hot. I don't know why this narrative is painted that people who are more progressive don't want to see attractive people. I think the thing is there was an unhealthy standard of beauty. We saw this with like America's Next Top Model. If you ever watched that show, probably the biggest model competition in the world, iterations of it all over the place. If you go back and you look now at some of the older seasons, you will see just how unhealthy the standards were. We're talking about like body shaming, eating habits, just very unhealthy as an industry. And what they've tried to do is pull back a little bit on that unhealthy environment. And so we're not seeing everyone look like copy paste of each other in the modeling industry, in the fashion industry. And so they're acting as if they want to go back to like objectifying and causing women to have these unhealthy standards of beauty. And I'm not talking about people that don't want to go to the gym or anything like that. I'm talking about the idea that you have to be a sample size. Every woman has to be sample size, which is extremely unhealthy. Not every person's body is designed to look that way. And this is the kind of bullshit that these guys pretend is good for the world. And it's just not. It's not.
It's no longer okay. So I saw some positive takes. Friend of the show, Andrea Muse, said 6 years of woke cannot prevent sexy from coming back.
Yes, it can.
Morgan said the world is healing. Victoria's Secret fashion shows are back. We want the angels, not LGBTQ plus obese models.
I'm sorry, but modernity was always going to push this over the edge. This was never going back to what it was.
Is he straight? My gaydar is going crazy right now. And for people that are not aware what gaydar is, it's like a gay person's ability to pick up on our own. Like it's like pheromones in the universe. Both of the men on this panel are giving off vibes for me. And it's a little weird because this is about Victoria's Secret and sex appeal and they're so adamantly against it. It's giving like self-hatred a little bit. So we have this guy here who looks like someone that does adult content for a living but only does it for money. So you're not going to catch him with a boyfriend. And the one down on the end there, hold on, let me look up his socials. All right, so here's his socials. Holy crap. I want to remind you guys, this is a Tim Pool funded pop culture discussion podcast. So it's no surprise that they take this angle with everything. But yeah, he's giving me like I'm on Grindr. I don't know if he is or not. Is he out? In the chat, let me know if Brett is out or not, because this is definitely giving me those kinds of vibes. All right, back to this. Maybe it'll get better. Spoiler alert. I've kind of skipped through this already, but spoiler alert, I don't think it is.
Another one said Victoria's Secret fashion show is back. The girls are skinnier than ever, which means the body positivity fatty era is over.
It's not
over.
Here's the problem. That's a lot of people that they have to send down that runway. It's too sweet of an opportunity for them not to just sneak one of them in there, right? Like even if it's just Ashley Graham, they're like, look.
Well, it wasn't just that. There were several overweight models, and not only that, there were also 2 transgender models.
I also want to point out here, guys, like, when you make these comments, nobody is
good for them. Good for Victoria's Secret. Good for them. I remember back, I don't think, maybe it was in the last fashion show they had. I don't remember totally, but there was a trans model included in one of their campaigns right before COVID. Good for them. Good for Victoria's Secret. And more on that in a moment. Let's continue.
Saying like people be like, well, what about you? You don't look like a model. It's like, that's not the point. That's not the point. It's not sour grapes. It's a commentary on where brands are taking their media.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. If you were to look back at like child actors or people that came up in the industry, because a lot of times the modeling industry skews very young. We're talking about women who are right at the edge of like, they're just getting out of high school. They want to be models. And sometimes before that, sometimes it starts before that. My cousin started modeling very early, and the industry is not healthy at that age where they're trying to tell girls at that point how they should look. And it's, again, it's an unhealthy standard. They want them to go out there and look a certain way, like skin and bones, and it's just not healthy. But these kinds of guys who are looking for trad wives and all this other bullshit, they don't care if it's unhealthy for women and young girls. They don't care about that. They don't think about the harm that's coming to that. And this woman sitting in the middle of all this, sort of nodding and going along with it, I guess the paycheck is good.
This is a little on topic, but Cher performed at the Victoria's Secrets thing last night.
Mm-hmm.
She is 78 years old. She's like right there with Donald Trump age and stuff.
Different generation.
She actually still looks good.
Cher?
Yeah.
She's definitely not as bad as Madonna.
No,
right
Madonna looks.
You know what's funny is they're mentioning Cher performing at this. Cher, probably, you could always argue Madonna and Cher in terms of like the old school icons, like pop icons of the gay community. Would be Cher, Madonna. You could toss in Whitney Houston, obviously Diana Ross. There's so many of them over the years, but we're talking about the ones that are still making music and still out there performing. Cher, Madonna are the ones. And the fact that this guy here is talking about Cher is blowing my mind. Cher performed at an event where trans people were. Obviously, they know their market. It's just so weird to me that this is even the conversation they're having. Let's continue.
Here's the thing. I still think that was a bad choice. Who I think should have performed last night was Sabrina Carpenter. Obviously.
I just put the link in.
It couldn't be more obvious.
In the Slack. Oh no, that's not the right thing.
It would have made perfect sense to have Sabrina Carpenter there. It was almost too obvious.
I guess she was busy.
Sabrina Carpenter, I mean, I like Sabrina Carpenter. She's good too. But again, they know their market. They know that so the crowd that is going to spend ultra big bucks on stuff at Victoria's Secret, like the designer stuff, that's not the stuff you're going to buy in the stores, like the designer stuff. The people that are going to spend that kind of money are not necessarily Sabrina Carpenter fans. They're just not. They're just not. So they know which market they're catering to in terms of like who they want to be there, who they want to come out and spend their money. That's why they didn't have Sabrina Carpenter. There's a lot of other younger artists they could have had there. Sabrina Carpenter, I mean, this is because they're objectifying Sabrina Carpenter. I happen to like Sabrina, but that's what's happening here.
With her tour, they couldn't make it work. But, more than there's an issue of the fact that you have to force inclusivity, it's also just not.
Inclusivity is not forced. It is not forced. Gay people, trans people, all of us belong anywhere that we want to be, anywhere that we can go out and share our art. We can be a part of a community. We belong there. The idea of forcing is like you're saying that we are taking space away from you, from straight cisgender people, that our inclusion in things is taking something away from you. And it's not. We all share this world. We're all part of the same environment. That word is just a dog whistle. It's not even really dog whistly anymore. I keep saying that. It's not even dog whistly anymore. It's kind of just, it is what it is.
The same vibe. The vibe was just off. It was not fun. It was not fun, fancy free. It was not flirty.
Modernity and social justice are the antithesis of fun.
Yeah,
because you have to think about it, right? So while the skinny women are out there laughing and dancing around and walking the runway and walking back, that's fun. That's fancy free. You get to just do that and not think about it. The second you put someone else out there, you have to worry about what the proper response is. Yeah. You have to have the right words to say about it. There is no freedom in that type of message.
So your idea of freedom is oppressing other people because you don't feel comfortable. You don't feel comfortable seeing queer people. So we don't get to participate because you have to think a little bit. And that causes you not to have fun because you don't want to engage with us. This is why when we talk about this whole idea of forced and we don't belong there and these initiatives to allow queer people to be a part of something, they're there because of this kind of mindset. Because the people that are saying this don't want to be respectful. They don't want to see people as individuals. They want to objectify. And that's the same thing with like the idea of like the models looking a certain way. In their mind, they just want to be able to objectify it. And they're afraid if they see a trans model or a queer model of some kind walk down the runway, they're going to find that person attractive, and that fucks with them internally. Because then they have to grapple with not only the implications that they could find a trans person or a queer person attractive, but then how does that affect them socially? How does that affect them when it comes to their friends and their family? And then all of a sudden it clicks in their mind. This is how it is for queer people all the time, having to worry about whether or not their friends or family are going to accept them. And they don't want to even wrestle with that because to them, that is too much. It is too much in their life to have to deal with doing something other than what society expects from you. So instead of that being allowed in their minds, it's easier to just exclude us from everything. Just leave us out of everything because they don't want to have to deal with that. That's what they're saying here. That I had to unpack all that, but that's what they're saying.
Message.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw so many people saying like, wow, they finally brought it back and we're back in the 2000s. Skinny is back. Sexy is back. But you must not have been paying much attention because.
Okay, so in other words, a lot of the people that wanted Victoria's Secret to feel like it felt before were saying, and you're admitting this, were saying that it felt that way. But because there were trans women and some women that weren't skinny like a skeleton included, just a couple of them here and there, that somehow that diminishes everything else that people are praising in this fashion show, for you specifically. That sounds a little bit like, sounds a little phobic, bigoted.
Yeah, they did make sure to include trans models. They did make sure to include overweight models, not just people who were, as you said, grandfathered in from past eras, but also new models.
So I said, okay, Tyra Banks is a legend.
Sure, yes, totally.
Tyra Banks is a
no problem with her. We have Gigi Hadid who opened the
Why is there no problem with her? Why is there no problem with her? Why is there no problem with Tyra Banks? Oh, she's a legend, so she's excluded. So her body being different is okay. But everyone else's whose bodies are different is not okay. But Tyra is because she's a legend. That's really interesting.
Show.
Copy or doing her best Taylor Swift impression because they're both friends.
Yes.
Yep.
That's all fine. Bella Hadid was there as well.
And they're staples of the industry.
Adriana Lima also they brought back. Yep. She looks great. Not sure what that plaid getup is, but okay. Yeah. So this seems normal so far.
Yep.
What is this guy over here behind me? What is he contributing to this? What does he contribute? Like I looked up her profile. She's into fashion, so at least she has some sort of reason here. He's the host, so that makes. What is this guy over here doing? What is he contributing? They couldn't get somebody from the fashion world in here because he's not saying anything. He's just kind of sitting there oogling the models.
Fine. And then we get to some problem areas.
So
here.
even Ashley Graham was the first of the body positive models because she had this the Sports Illustrated cover years ago that you could say is like the beginning.
Or like Kate Upton as well.
Kate
She was
Upton,
also
yes.
seen as plus size back in the day.
Kate Upton was never up.
She was never actually overweight.
You know what it is?
though.
It's like when they show pictures of George Costanza and they say this is what comically fat looked like.
But
in the
show
90s.
more of these photos because there were even more plus size models in the lineup here.
They
Like
look
this
beautiful.
is, I mean,
don't
if
know
you
what
want
the
to have a
problem
fashion
is.
show where you have a diversity of body types, that's fine. It just can't be this one, you know?
Why can't it be this one? What is the reason for it not being this one? And I don't believe that. First of all, you're talking about this one because it is Victoria's Secret. If it were another fashion show, you wouldn't be talking about it. So I guess the argument there is if it's something that you're interested in, something that you would talk about, you don't want to see people of different shapes and sizes. No other reason why, I guess, here.
No,
The point is you're selling an image. You should be selling an image.
it's not
this is
aspirational.
Exactly. This is something that we've been talking about on this show for a while. We want to see aspiration.
Yes.
You want to see the ideal. I don't want to see reality.
Okay, so the ideal, that's a really, really important word there. This is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about unhealthy standards in the industry, in the fashion world, and in like when it comes to women's health and stuff like that, is this idea of beauty standards, this ideal beauty standard. It is, first of all, it's not the same for everybody. Not everyone has the same quote unquote aspirations for beauty standards. And they are showing that they make clothing for everyone because they want everyone to buy their merchandise. It is the capitalistic nature. So you put that in there and then you realize, oh, maybe there's a reason why they're doing it other than trying to give you guys something to look at while you use your fleshlights. Maybe there's another reason there, and it's to make money. They want to make money. And then you have these visionaries that come in, these designers that are interested in making garments for people who are not size zeros. They want to make garments for everybody. Again, this is a big thing in the fashion industry in general. So they want to do that. They come in and they have an opportunity to do it because Victoria's Secret sees money in that. To them, there is a material value in that, and they give them an opportunity to do it. So it is a net positive for not only Victoria's Secret, but for the people that want to design this stuff. Also want to point out the designer for next year's collection, the 2025 collection for Victoria's Secret, I think all year long, is Joseph Altazara, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Did a little research on him, and he's going to be designing all that lingerie that you want to wear, the women want to wear, that you want to buy for your girlfriends, your wives, or whatever, your mistresses, your side chicks, whatever, are designed by a gay man who is going to be the head designer next year, and he is married with a family. The coping and seething is going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy. I don't know if they cover that in this video, but this is the guy, Joseph here. Extremely talented. 2025 collection for Victoria's Secret. Shout out to him.
And mundane things. I want to see the aspirational thing.
It's
That's
weird.
what I want that I want your advertisements to imply that the aspirational is attainable for me. That's the whole point of advertisement, to get me to want to buy something.
Yeah.
I feel like this is
Okay, first of all, I don't know what you're even talking about, dude. But the idea that all women should look like skin and bones is not aspirational. It's actually extremely unhealthy. It's extremely unhealthy. Matter of fact, a lot of the women who look muscular or like they go to the gym, actually a more quote unquote healthy physique, are the ones that get attacked by your community for looking too manly. So you want these unhealthy beauty standards applied to women. It's really fucking crazy.
still a gendered issue. I kind of harp on this. It's like when you watch the superhero movies, right? It is a foregone conclusion that the men are going to be jacked beyond all belief.
And that men in the audience aren't going to whine about it.
But I think that women are swinging back because based on the responses I saw from a lot of women on Twitter, they're not happy with this. They're because this actually was something that appealed to both men and women equally without offending anyone.
The problem is Twitter is a very specific audience. You're going to get more like women like that on Twitter. Like if you took this same conversation to Instagram, you're going to have a vastly different discussion.
I'm seeing some response.
I got to give him credit. That's actually true. That is true. Twitter is going to be a much more polarizing, trollish audience, which is why she shouldn't be using Twitter for that kind of stuff. Instagram is more real people, so you're going to get a more real response from Instagram. Beauty standards are looked at differently on Instagram because it is more of the real world. I have to give them credit. That's a pretty accurate statement.
Responses. One woman said, I want to see unobtainable beauty standards, bones, and voluminous hair. They can keep all the other stuff.
Correct.
Brittany Martinez also
Gross.
posted about this, saying that it was an absolute flop. They just lost that sense of fun. Like this was an exclusive, unattainable, cool girls club that you wanted to be a part of. There was no glitter in this.
There's no healthiness in a cool girls, cool boys, cool kids club. There's no healthiness in that. It's a very unhealthy standard. No one should want that. They're not good for you.
One, no pink, no, voluptuous waves in their hair. They slicked back Adriana Lima's hair into this tight.
Oh no, fashion trends change. Shocker. And you should know this. You seem to be a fashion person. When I looked up your profile and everything, you seem to be a fashion person. Fashion trends change. It happens. Haircuts change. I hated that the mullet came back, but it did. It had another, 3 or 4 more years of life, especially during COVID, and then it went away again. It happens.
The colloquial phrase for it, pardon my language, is the don't fuck me bun. Like that's what they did to her hair. And that's not Victoria's Secret fashion show. Yeah. That's not flirty. It's not sexy. It's like they were all trying to outmug each other and it just didn't hit the same. But people are coming up with all these disingenuous clapbacks saying, oh, you're just mad that the models got older. You're just mad that they introduced like non-white models. You're just mad at this and that. No, it's not that. Like, if anything, the OG.
I didn't even say that. That wasn't even part of my clapback on that. I didn't get that vibe at all. I do think that it's a little disingenuous, though, to pretend that fashion should stay the same forever. That's not the way it works.
E-models being brought back is what people wanted, regardless of the fact that they've aged over time. Obviously, that happens. Here are some of the responses defending the show. One said, there are so many new girls, but they hate it because it doesn't fit their agenda of being blonde, skinny, and white. Most new girls are beautiful ethnic girls or slightly plus sized or trans, and they can't accept that, so they hate on a whole new show instead. You're right. I can't accept that. Most people can't accept that. We shouldn't have.
Well, first of all, you have no statistic on that. You say most people, you're not going to provide a statistic, so that means nothing. That's not a comeback for that. Saying that you don't want it without any real reason other than you don't want to see it is also not an excuse for that thing to not exist. You have to understand, if you don't want to eat something, you don't want to drink something, you don't want to see something, it is upon you to detach from that and go, this isn't for me anymore. It is, however, it's not for you to go, that thing shouldn't exist. Those people should not be a part of that. This thing should not be included into this other thing. Like, that's not the response. That's not the correct response for that. Like, there's a reason why they're doing it, and you don't have to buy it. That's the whole point.
Have to. You're ruining the fun.
Tyra Banks was the first one on there, and people loved Tyra Banks.
Are we just going to act like Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell never existed?
Yes, they're going.
Well, I mean, you gave them a pass, so it doesn't matter. You gave them a pass. You literally said she's legendary, so it doesn't count. But now you want to use her as a defense for you liking models that aren't young and skinny when you gave her a pass on that. Holy shit.
Going to absolutely.
Hello?
Yes, they're absolutely going to act like that.
Because you know what it is? It's because it's a hierarchy, right? As soon as you say no, because Naomi Campbell and Tyra Banks, then they go down to the body pod. So they start at race, then they go to body type, then they go to gender, then they go to new genders. There's a list of grievances that you're allowed to criticize here. And again, we're back to the point you made before. It's not fun.
It looks cool.
That's your only argument, is it's not funny. You don't want to see different people in there. That's it. That's the argument. That's the argument. That's not a criticism.
Cold, clinical. None of the models looked like they wanted to be there. There was one especially bad clip that I sent you where this model just looks miserable. She's like, what is this? She's just like strikes that pose and she's.
You do. Holy shit. This is so disingenuous coming from her. If you're someone that knows fashion, you know that models have signature walks. They have signature personalities. That's why they're booked for certain shows. It's very, sometimes designers will say, I want you to walk this way and I want you to be no emotion, no nothing. To act like that doesn't happen makes me question whether or not you truly are into fashion as much as you say you are, or if you're just pretending to be the fashion person on this podcast so it gives you a little bit of credibility.
Just like, even hold the post.
I'm out of
here. I gotta go.
Bye.
I guess aloof is a style. But
Okay, but it's not the style of the Victoria's Secret fashion show. If this were some kind of editorial fashion runway, I would understand that. But that's not the legacy of this brand.
she looks like her mom forced her to walk.
Here's the thing. Your idea of what that legacy is matters like this. Big zero. Because the people that are putting together the fashion show are Victoria's Secret. They're the ones that are funding it. It's their merchandise. They get to decide how they want to advertise it. Are you saying that you should control how they advertise? That all brands should bend to the will of the public? So if a vast majority of people said that you shouldn't be able to get on social media and do what you're doing right now, does that mean you shouldn't be allowed to do it? Or are people free to do what they want to do?
Yeah, exactly. One said, no blowing fans, no bombshell curls, no glittery pink lip gloss, shimmery makeup, no strutting, barely any energy to feed off from the models, barely any cute wings, not enough cute sets, stage construction looked last minute, and why is it in October? That also doesn't make sense.
So some of those criticisms are valid. I could see criticizing the set. I could see criticizing the choice of music. I could see criticizing when the show comes out. All of those things feel like actual criticisms. Those things feel like something that could be constructive, that you could present to Victoria's Secret and say, these are criticisms that we have. What do you think of these? Your comments about them, I don't want to see trans people. I don't want to see people of different body shapes. I want everybody to be skinny as a rail, like a skeleton. That is unconstructive criticism. There's nothing they can do with that.
To me,
When did it usually take place?
I believe it was usually either in the spring or summer,
Okay.
if not Christmas.
It's just, this is the problem with so much of entertainment now, is you have to think so hard about all of the social implications of everything that's done these days that the actual purpose is lost.
Yep.
All the fun is gone when you have to worry about the second.
What are the social implications? What does that have to do with the release of the show? Am I missing something? Was there a reason why? It didn't come out during Pride Month or anything like that. So what are the social implications?
Dairy implications.
The point of that is women in their underwear. That's the whole point of the Victoria's Secret's fashion show. Women in underwear.
I will say that this is the type of thing that.
And that's not what you got? That's not what every picture that you showed was pictures of women in underwear. Did you order something different? That doesn't compute, VOD Dad.
That is tailor-made for women to develop neuroses over. So I'm not surprised that this is one of the things that goes. Again, you pointed out conversations on X. If you took this conversation to Instagram, it would be nothing but Yas Queen Slay.
Okay,
it would
sure.
be nothing but
it's performative. They don't really feel that way, you know?
So how do you know that X isn't performative? What a dumb fucking statement. What a dumb fucking statement. If you're going to argue that the people on Instagram are being performative by going, yes, Queen Slay, then I could also argue that people on Twitter are being disingenuous and performative by being negative about everything.
Oh, when you're overly praising the overweight models and you're overly praising the trans models, I think we all know why you're doing that. It's not because you think they are hotter than Giselle Bundchen. Like,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they think they're hotter or not. It's irrelevant. This guy's a piece of shit right here.
I can't level with that. That's just,
I wonder how it did ratings wise.
Cognitive dissonance. I didn't even hear about it happening until like a day before. They barely marketed it. And it's, aside from all the forced inclusivity and diversity and body positivity shit, it's just a lack of creativity. You know, there's no creative direction. It just looks like they slapped it together at the last minute, barely put any thought into it. There's the vibe is dead. They killed the vibe. There's no bringing it back at this point. How have they not learned their lesson? They've lost billions of dollars. Victoria's Secret has lost billions of dollars from forcing inclusivity, and they still.
I'm gonna guess that maybe they're stupid. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe this brand is really stupid. You go over to Victoria's Secret, they have a whole pride section here. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they're stupid. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because the video kept auto playing. Maybe it's because they think that they're making money. Maybe in their minds they're making money. Maybe that's why they continue to make clothing and merchandise that not only celebrates and caters to queer people, but they also hired a gay man who is married with a family to design their 2025 collection. Maybe that's the problem. How are they still surviving? How are they still surviving? If they're that far down, how are they still surviving? Let's see how they wrap up this video.
People haven't let up.
Time for the Shein fashion show.
Right? Like, where are we going to have to go next?
Wait, what's the one? What's the one
fashion
big
show?
brand that always advertises with Instagram models? The one
Fashion Nova? Is it that one?
They should do it.
I mean, that's just not the same. It's not the same. It's just cheap, fast fashion shit.
Yeah,
No
but
one
I'm saying
cares about that.
there's a market to be filled.
It's not the same. I mean, I can tell you from a woman's perspective, it's just not. It doesn't have the same legacy. No one would care as much.
Shein fashion show.
So I think we're going to end it there. So she's arguing that these other brands wouldn't be as good as Victoria's Secret because it doesn't have the same legacy. Therefore arguing that the other brands will never be as popular as Victoria's Secret, thus proving that Victoria's Secret is the pinnacle, meaning that it's the one that everyone goes to still, because she's arguing that these other places can't fill in that particular niche. So she's arguing that Victoria's Secret is going under, lost billions of dollars. Nobody's going there anymore. I didn't see any graphs or charts. I'm not going to look that up. Actually, I'm going to look that up because I want to debunk what she was saying. So I might as well. It's really simple. It's a Google search. So it looks like in 2023, they were having some issues with sales. However, they reported a slide in full year sales and profits, which could not be more offset by a more successful fourth quarter, meaning that as of March of 2024, they were doing really well. And you know what they're saying down here? Waters attributed the positive results in Q4 to disciplined inventory management and cost reductions related to Transform the Fountain Initiative, which aims to modernize Victoria's Secret supply chain and operating model, which means that they have figured out how to make it work and how to make money, which also means that she's wrong. They're not necessarily in the tank. And this is why she didn't bring that up. This is why none of them brought that up. Victoria's Secret is going to continue to push boundaries because that's what fashion does. That's what art does. And that's what these conservative funded, like bigotry funnel channels don't understand. Art and fashion and creative people do not want to be bound to tradition. It is anti-ethical, it's anti-art, it's anti-creative. In order to expand and make new things, you have to push boundaries, just like with comedy and acting and anything. So to ask artists and people that make things in fashion and these industries to pull back and be more traditional is anti-art. They're asking for anti-art. They want censorship. And I'm so glad that these companies, especially ones that are driven by art, are not listening to them. It doesn't make sense to listen to them. All of these guys are just frustratingly stupid and disingenuous.